Good evening. I want to talk about the Battle of the Pulse nightclub. And I call it the Battle of the Pulse nightclub because I think that's exactly what it was. And I think it's very important as the Battle of the Pulse nightclub unfolded yesterday morning. Uh, it's important to talk about, what we observed. What did everybody observe? Everybody saw something different. Some people saw the worst mass shooting in American history. Other people saw a hate crime. Other people saw an act of terrorism. To me, what I see was somebody waging war against the United States. So I'm going to refer to it as a battle of the Pulse nightclub. I believe, distant future in the history, the Battle of the Pulse nightclub will not go down along 9/11 and Pearl Harbor, but it'll go down alongside the Battle of Washington and the War of 1812, where the British burned down Washington, D.C., including the White House. They burned it to the ground. And I think it's important because what we observe and how we orient ourselves to what we observe is going to determine how we decide what to do and how we act in response to it. And now technically it's called the OODA loop. I don't take the OODA loop seriously when I hear it referred to as that, so I call it the OODA loop. But it's a basic decision-making model of observe, orient, decide, and act. So if we are disoriented in what we observe, what we decide to do, and how we act in response to it is going to be off. It has to be right on. I believe how the jihadists are oriented towards what happened yesterday in Orlando. I believe they see it as an act of war, an act of individual terrorism, jihad, and an actual battle. So I'm going to refer to it as Battle of the Pulse nightclub. So we can sit, as Americans, we have the luxury to sit around and point fingers at each other and blame each other with our political speech. It was the worst mass shooting. It was a hate crime. It was an act of terrorism. To me, I think that's all probably true. All three of them are probably true. But I think that's like phase one type of thinking. It doesn't get beyond phase one. It doesn't get to the bigger picture of what actually happens. Yes, we're all shocked and, oh my God, look at all this terrible bloodshed. All our fellow Americans are slaughtered. But to refer to it as the worst mass shooting, a hate crime, an act of terrorism, I think honestly misses the point. And I'm going to have a couple readings from the Global Islamic Resistance Call, according to al-Suri, just to put it out there, because I think if you don't know who al-Suri is and what the Global Islamic Resistance Call is, I think your government, your media has failed you. So the military theory of the resistance call is based upon applying two forms of jihad. Number one, the individual terrorism jihad, and secret operational activity of small units totally separated from each other. We turn our attention to these facts. The jihad of the individual, or cell terrorism, using the methods of urban or rural guerrilla warfare, is fundamental for exhausting the enemy and causing him to collapse, God willing. The cause to which we are calling does not require affiliation to a secret organization, and does not urge travel or migration, and does not alter the routines of daily life. All the matter requires is a resolute personal decision to perform the individual duty of jihad and a strong determination to contribute to the jihad and the resistance. An oath between you and God the Supreme, and then between you and those you will work with joining the resistance call. Embarking upon your operations, because jihad is a personal duty, and selecting an enemy target commensurate with your material and military capabilities. Biding your time and thinking. Plan and ask God for guidance. Then proceed. Be greeted on the path of the two blessings, either victory or martyrdom. This is a call for action and martyrdom, not a method for controversies or a program of idle talk and endless questions. Will. The will to fight is a prerequisite for preparation and then jihad. All military schools agree that if a will to fight and the moral strength of the fighter is the basis for victory and good performance. Also, will is the basis for all actions and all aspects of human activity. In our situation, which is jihad, preparation is a fruit of sincere will. When the will is sincere and the determination is firm, one starts making preparations according to his capabilities in order to terrorize the enemy of God and the Muslims. After the preparation, one is dispatched to the battle. Thus, if the desire is sincere and the preparation is undertaken according to one's ability, the individual moves to launch jihad. Anyone, anywhere, can become an individual jihadist. And this is what they came up with in 2005. Mr. Al-Suri wrote this up in Afghanistan. 2005 was disseminated throughout the years. I got it in this book, Key Experts of this Global Islamic Resistance Call, and everybody's buying into it. This is the Battle of the Pulse nightclub is exactly the type of thing that he envisioned back in 2005. It's taken 11 years. It's been perfected. It's evolved. But now it's here in our face. And as you all know, we've been suspects in our own country for about 15 years. And now we're all targets in our own country. So Al-Suri spoke a little bit about will. So if we all agree that jihad is an ideology, and we all agree that we cannot kill an ideology and we cannot kill an idea, I think we all need to agree that we together find a way to do the next best thing, which is to destroy the will of the enemy to fight for that idea. So what does that entail? We know what it takes to destroy the enemy. We know the quantity of force it takes to destroy an enemy. Whether it's an airstrike, a drone strike, a missile strike, precision-guided munitions, helicopter gunships, C-130 gunships, artillery, mortars, machine guns, hand grenades, bayonets, on and on and on. We know Americans are good at determining the quantity it takes to destroy things. We've always been good at that. We are very good at determining the quantity of force that is required to destroy enemy material and personnel. But what we're not good at is determining the quantity of force necessary to destroy the enemy's will to fight. Oftentimes, there's a very fine line between the amount of force it takes to destroy the enemy's will to fight, the amount of force it takes to galvanize the enemy's will to continue to fight and continue to resist. So that's the equation we need to solve. How much force does it take to raise the costs so high of waging jihad that a potential person who's, call them borderline, call them whatever you want to call, they're considering taking up jihad. How much force can we use against jihads? As I say, you know what? The fruits of jihad is nothing but destruction, pain, and suffering. So that's a level of force we need to figure out how to use, how to apply, and where to apply it. What is the enemy's center of gravity? What is the enemy's critical weaknesses? Is it in their ideology? Can you fight it with ideas, or do you need to fight it with something a little bit more violent and intense? How long do we want to be involved in this battle? What do we want? Another 15 years of this? You're going to put up with being a suspect in your own country and being a target in your own country for another 15 years? I know I got a wife and a family and little kids. I don't want them to be growing up as suspects in their own country and targets in their own country. So what can we do to orient ourselves to this battle of the Pulse nightclub, which many more are going to continue? There's got to be a way to do it. There has to be a way to do it. I think it can be done. I have my own ideas on how it could be done, but I'm not going to sit here and rant and rave about them this evening. But I want to kick it out there. Do you believe it was a battle of the Pulse nightclub? Do you believe that was a battle that the United States of America got its asses kicked in? To where Mr. Omar Siddiqui Mateen used our own First Amendment against us and our own Second Amendment against us, just like the hijackers on 9/11 used our own planes against us to fly them into our own buildings. It may not be legal. It may not be ethical. It may not be moral, but it's a hell of a way to fight. And it's a hell of an effective way to fight. And they've been fighting us like this for a long time. And it's cost us a lot of people and a lot of money. And are we better off than we were on 9/12? How much better off are we really than we were on 9/12? Are we that much better off than we were on 9/12? I don't think we are. I don't think we are. And that's not a military failure. That's a political failure. That's a political failure. That's all of our failure together. All of us together as Americans have failed to destroy the enemy and their will to fight. So it's a question of will. We're damn right. It's a question of will to fight. We did not have the stomach to launch a full-blown terrorist war on 9/12. Why would we have the stomach to do it now? Why would we have the stomach to do it now? Do we have the stomach to do it now? Probably not. So we can either continue to have our liberties eroded, or we can annihilate the enemy. Are we going to annihilate him, or are we just going to stand back and watch every 6 weeks another battle at a Pulse nightclub? Is there a way to destroy their will to fight? And if so, are we willing as Americans to destroy it and let the chips fall where they may? I don't know. I think we should do it. I think we should eradicate the planet of these jihadists. And that doesn't mean killing all Muslims. We know where some of them are. Take Raqqa as an example. We know that's the headquarters of the Islamic State. And it still exists. And it's existed for 2 years. And we're not going to take it out because of why? Oh, there's going to be innocent people killed. Well, how many more innocent people do we need to get killed? How many more Americans need to get slaughtered in cold blood in their own country by their fellow countrymen, their fellow citizen? Because we've been infiltrated. Okay, this guy's had FBI checks. This guy should have been caught. He wasn't caught. He went down in a hail of bullets. He's now a martyr. And there's going to be a lot more people who see that, and they're not going to be deterred. They can say, you know what, I can go shoot up a place. I can be stone cold, and I'm going to be rewarded. How can we destroy the enemy's will to fight? What quantity of force is necessary to destroy their will to fight? Because their will is strong as it ever was. It's not going away. These people are emboldened. They hide among civilians. They use our laws against us. And now, the answer is not to take rights away from law-abiding citizens and restrict them, because then they'd win. Are we all suspects? Are we all targets? Which one is it? Or is it both? Why is it both? How come they've failed? How come we have failed to solve this problem? Why does it take 50? I mean, how long does it take to wipe out the Nazis? How long did it take to wipe out the Japanese? They're still Nazis. They're still National Socialists. We never killed that idea. We destroyed their will to fight for that idea. There's a lot of ideas over the years that haven't died, but the will for people to fight for them has been destroyed. It's been diminished because it's a religion that's off touch. Everybody agrees this type of radicalism has nothing to do with Islam. Everybody understands that. So why can't we form some kind of understanding that this type of Islamic teaching is going to be destroyed? If you're running a mosque that has that stuff, you're going to get destroyed. If you're funding it, you're going to get destroyed. If you're training it, you support it, why not get destroyed? Because that's the root of it. If it's this idea that people can grasp, the will for it to fight needs to be destroyed.